Hello and welcome to the third episode of the Greatest Manchester Football Podcast. Whether you're listening from as far away as Wigan or as close as Salford, we don't really care. You're welcome if you are a football fan of any club within the Greater Manchester area. I'm sure we'll talk about the Greater Manchester boundaries just as time goes on. It's already been mentioned quite a lot. So as you can see, I support Stockport County. So I'm Russ Johnson, Stockport County fan. Feeling on top of the world at the moment because we just won the National League, and we'll talk to somebody else from the National League very soon. So I've got two guests. I say guests, they're going to be mainstays of the podcast this week and in future weeks, all from clubs in the Greater Manchester area. So if I get me clickers right, I'm going to introduce Andrew Flynn, who's representing Altrincham, and Tom from Rochdale. Hello, boys.
Hello.
Good evening.
You all right?
Not so bad.
Well, thank you. Thanks for the invite.
Definitely.
No problem. We'll get the others on as they come on because, you know, you can't be late for kickoff, really, can you? Who does that? I mean, my mate Nick, who does it with me, is always late for kickoff. It does my head in. So if we start, Andrew, give us a bit about yourself, your involvement with Altrincham, and what you can bring to this show.
Sure. Well, I'm hoping a fair bit. But like I said, thanks for having me on. First and foremost, I'm just a fan. Been a fan all my life. I think there's a fairly true conception about Alty fans that Alty's your second team and you're a United or a City fan. I think that's what people tend to think. That's true for some people that I know. Just want to get it in there very early. That's not me. I'm just Alty. I'm part of a fairly informal fan group called Kings of the Golf Road, which a few people might have seen on Twitter or maybe not. Like I say, fairly informal, but that sets out to really just push the atmosphere forward and fan culture as much as we can do. We've released a few pieces of alternate club merchandise over the past couple of years, the main one being a retro 90s home and away shirt. It's not an official supporters club as such. It's I think Alty sorely misses one of them, to be honest. But like I say, just trying to push the atmosphere forward. And then I've actually recently re-volunteered to look after the social media and some of the marketing campaigns for the club itself as well. Nice. So the club, as many might know, have gone full time this season, but that's very much the playing aspect of the club. Lots of elements of the club still remain very volunteer focused, and I did that from 2017 through to 2021, took a break, and I'm back this season doing that. So hopefully I can bring some decent insight over the course of the season.
Nice one. Your break, was that to go travelling or something like studency like that? No?
Very boring, mate, just to focus on the career for a year. But
fair dues.
Yeah, so there's been a bit of shuffle at the club in terms of who was looking after that, and it became available sort of last minute over the last couple of weeks, and there's an element of it sort of helping the club out, but I'd imagine I'll stick around long term and give it a good go again.
Nice one. Good stuff. And Tom, what about you?
Well, my CV's not anything like that, so just to get it there. No, similarly to yourself, I'm a Rochdale fan first and foremost. Was quite a late bloomer to football. Started watching probably only about 12 years ago. So I've probably only really seen a lot of the good times with Rochdale, to be fair, barring the past few years, which haven't been great. And obviously love supporting the club, love talking about football. Obviously COVID happened, and we wanted a platform to just talk about the games in a structured way, and get people on and have a laugh, and just try and see the funny side, because we were terrible at the time, and we're not much better now, but there you go. So we just use it as a platform to start talking about football. It's been well received, and obviously we've built up our follower base since starting it, and just really love diving into all topics of the club. Just really passionate about talking about my football club, really.
No, and that's why we're here. What we'll do is we'll put links in the bottom of the YouTube video to your podcast and anything else that we need to. Right, Will's backstage. He's representing Salford City, so let's get Will out and we'll introduce Will. Hello, Will.
Good evening. Sorry for missing kickoff.
It's all right. Do you normally miss kickoff, or is that just a first? Is that a first?
No, it's the first. I'm usually one of the first there, and horrendously early if anything. But this time the concessions queues caught me out, and it took a while to eat my food.
There can't many people going through the turnstiles at Salford.
Oh,
It started very early.
Seconds.
It's funny, Tom, because you mentioned you've seen the successful times at Rochdale. I don't think there was any. Aren't you bottom of some sort of? No, aren't you seriously? Aren't you bottom of some sort of league where it's something like 20,000 days since you won a trophy or something? There's some gift.
Well, the league's named after us. It is the Rochdale division. So that's the trophy. That's the trophy I'm claiming.
I like it. Right, Will, give us a bit of background because you're probably the most professional out of all of us, I would say.
Yeah, you could say that. So, my role is working full time at Salford City. I came into it 9 seasons ago. It was around the time that the Class 92 was starting to, get involved. I was still a student back at that point, just trying to find a way in the media world. I have been working across other non-league clubs around the area, and decided that Salford would be an opportunity. And 9 years later, I'm still here. So my role, I've seen it come up from Northern Prem, First Division North. We've grown the media output absolutely exponentially. We've had some absolutely amazing times, of course, getting up to the Football League, and the club is, I would say, entirely different to when I first came into it, just as off my own back and seeing what things were about. So very different, but as you say, it's very professional now, and enjoying it still. A lot of new challenges, but it's very good. So personally, I do the club commentary on match days, and then a lot of other media things throughout the week. So the social media, the website, programs, always going to shout about keeping a match day program going. So yeah, in a nutshell.
Good stuff. So genuine question, and if we start with you, I've got no real order to this, by the
No,
way.
I don't support Man United.
No. Do you know what? I wasn't going to say that. I was going to say, was you when you were a student at the club? Was you a fan? Were they still playing? It was orange, was it? I think. Were they still playing in orange, or was that had the 92 already took over and changed the colours?
Yeah, when I first went down, my first game, they were playing orange, black.
Right.
And then obviously it was 2014. The red shirts, white shorts, and white socks came in. So about saw the old days, but
so you've got quite a unique viewpoint in there, having seen the club play at the grounds that they played at then. I'm very obviously familiar with all the way through to where you're at now, and imagine one of the nicest things about these days is you actually get Wi-Fi at every ground you go at, because some of the signal I'd imagine towards the start would have been horrendous.
More often than not, I think having a press bench is probably the biggest difference between when you're standing behind the barriers at Brickhouse Town or something like that. But that there is a real romanticism to non-league that, I will be honest, being in League Two you miss. It's completely different worlds, non-league, from where we started and where we are now. There's pros to it, the cons to it. But yeah, facilities have been an improvement, I think it's fair to say.
I can imagine. We are getting some comments through. We'll flash some of these up as we go along. Just to break it up, somebody's put, I think it's an Oldham fan that's got a Chelsea shirt on their avatar. I think I've seen this person before. Where is Matt and Nick? Well, they are not here tonight, so we've got quite a rounded section of guests and people who are going to come on every week, so it won't always be Matt and Nick. And plus, there's too many Oldham fans that have been on this recently. But if you know, there's not a flat cap between us tonight, so I'm sure you'll be thankful of that. Have you seen their new chairman?
Brilliant!
If you googled Oldham businessman, you'd get a picture of him, wouldn't you, in his flat cap? So I just want to flick around really. We'll get onto like results and fixtures and things soon. I'm really hoping that Ryan from the Bolton fan turns up, so I can use my new little video that I've got. That Andrew got a bit of and I think Tom saw as well. So Andrew, if we just talk to you a bit, obviously your season kicks off on Saturday. You've got. Let me just work this out. You got Maidstone at home. Yep. So your first 3 games: Maidstone at home, Bromley away, Maidenhead away. I'm, as a former non-league club supporter, I'm sort of shuddering at that. I suppose Will is as well. Tom, you've never had the pleasure, but it might be coming soon.
No, don't say that.
All I'll say, be thankful you've got Mason on a Saturday. We've had it in an FA Trophy replay on the Tuesday night, and that was not pleasant.
Oh,
No. Bromley away is an interesting one as well with their movable goalposts. Yes. So, Andrew, tell us a bit about sort of the Alty preparation, squad depth, new players, anything like that. Are you confident going into the Maidenhead game?
That's quite open-ended, but I'll give it a good go. So, So, if for anyone who didn't know, Alty have always been a semi-professional football club. That's going all the way back to the late 1800s when we were founded. And this May, we announced that we're going to go full-time. So this season is the club's first ever season as a professional football club. And I've said a couple of times on the podcast that we do that I think as fans, we need to curve our expectations a little bit as to what going full-time means. That it's not just a ticket to end up in the top half of this league or in the playoffs, in one season. So for me, it's very much again about consolidation for Alty and making sure that we don't jeopardise the league position that we've built up over the last couple of seasons. So when Phil Parkinson came in 2017 in the Evo stick, we've gone on this 5-season run of finishing higher every season than we did the previous one. Now, this season, I'm not sure whether we're going to continue that into a 6th one. Main reason being, when you go full-time, having been part-time, we've relied on being able to attract the best part-time players in the Northwest.
Yeah.
The players who can't commit to going full-time, so they arrive at our doorstep. And with that transition, we've lost 7 players who were pivotal to the promotions that we've had. I did a bit of maths beforehand, and if you add up all of their Altrincham appearances, it's 1,781 appearances that we've lost this pre-season that have all gone out the door. So it's a really big recruitment job to replace not only the ability with the likes of Josh Hancock, Jake Malt, Sean Densmore. Those names will mean more to some than others. But the experience is really, really key. We've lost that experience. What we've gained, I guess, is young and hungry professionals. They've all got their eyes set on getting back into the Football League. What our sort of model is to moneyball it a bit and find these lads who maybe drop out of academies. And I'll use a lad called Isaac Marriott as an example, who was at Huddersfield's B team, found himself at Bradford Park Avenue, who managed to pip Halifax to sign him before they did. And now he's one of our most integral players. And that's the approach we're sort of taking now. We could be a surprise package, like when Braintree gate crashed the playoffs under the Cowley brothers a few seasons back. We could really struggle. I don't know. On our podcast, I predicted 17th, and I'd be very happy with that.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because Will, you'll probably have experienced this. I certainly do. We were semi-professional regional football for a while, which made me feel sick most weeks. But as we started to rise, we did a hybrid model, because you do. And Tom, if you go down, you don't want to go down, but if you go down, because I think we need to talk about that later. But
no, we don't.
What you find is if you are semi-professional, if you as you go to professional, like you said, Andrew, you kind of lose a load of players that want to stay semi-professional to keep the jobs, because they've got careers at the end of the day, and the wages aren't to the point where they can just live off it. But the trouble with going professional in the National League is you are getting the bottom end of the professional ladder as well. Is that fair to say, Will?
Yeah, I mean, I remember when we did it, we lost quite a few players. I think that was the point Jordan Hume came to you guys at Alty. James Poole's another one who you'd have kept on as a professional, but the livelihoods that these players have away from football. I could be wrong in saying this, but wasn't Ben Hinchliffe in a similar position? He had a very good job. And Danny Lloyd as well. They were absolute stars of the semi-professional game, and it is a big leap of faith. Obviously we sort of bridged it because, even though you had Danny Livesey and Simon Grand, for example, going out, we brought in Carl Pejani and Liam Hogan, who, had been stalwarts at the level. So, we got our recruitment right, but I think there have been other examples of teams who they've lost the best semi-professional players.
Yeah.
And you don't pick up the best professional players. So it's a leap of faith. Definitely, I'd agree with that.
Yeah, go on.
I was just going to say, it's one that we had to take, though. I think Altrincham as a football club it began to outlive this mantra of being the plucky underdog in the the big man's world sort of thing. And for the longest time at National League level, Altrincham were the heavyweights of it. But it's an entirely different playing field these days. The league is packed with resources dropping down into this level. All these clubs that can't get back out of it, and we're supposed to mix it with them as a part-time team. And that's why, over the course of last season, we got a right tonking from Stockport twice, Wrexham, Solihull Moors. We were 4-0 down at half time there, and there was literally nothing we could do about it. There was nothing we could do. So the club's starting to wake up from this decade-long hibernation. We haven't won anything of note since the FA Trophy in 1986, and of course we've had promotions back to the National League, the odd Cheshire Cup, the odd giant killing and whatnot. But for as far as actual success goes, we've been starved of it as a football club, and success at this level now invariably means full-time football. So we I don't know if you guys saw, but our manager and assistant manager were pretty much nailed on for the Notts County job this summer. And the reason why that didn't go through is because they believe in this project that we've set up with the full-time football model. So I think that gives me a lot of faith in it. I don't want to come across like I'm really, really worried about this. I think we've weighed everything up, and it's a really measured gamble as such that we've taken. But yeah, I've seen us in the various non-league social media accounts predictions that they've been doing. I've seen us range from anywhere from 10th to 23rd.
Yeah,
I think that shows how hard it is to get a read on Alti this season. We could be anything, but it's an exciting one for sure.
So it's just
from the outside.
I was going to say, just a very quick one, just to confirm to everybody, your Phil Parkinson isn't the one at Wrexham that's underachieving, is he? Yours is a different Phil Parkinson. Yeah.
Very true. Although in the betting market, they were that lazy that they just put Phil Parkinson brackets both. So they didn't actually split the two Parkinsons out. So there was a whole debate going around as to whether Notts County were in for Wrexham's manager. And I'm pretty sure it's ours.
Sorry, Will, you're about to say something.
Yeah, we've seen Parky for a number of years. He was at Nantwich for quite a while. And, I think the way that he plays football, I wouldn't be worried about Altrincham particularly going full-time, dropping down. I think mid-table is probably very good. And then, the National League, there is always that 1-2 sides who you don't expect to be up there, who, just because of what they've got in the spirit and, looking at Parky teams, he's always had that. So, I think he will do a job, and, full-time, it will give you that extra 5-10% advantage.
Yeah, for sure. I think we saw this in pre-season, where previously we've had to play 8 or 9 games, friendlies during pre-season, just to get a look at players and do our due diligence on them before we sign them. We've had like 6 friendlies this year because we've been able to train, and it's all these elements of football have been adapted.
Yeah, it does make a massive difference going from Tuesday and Thursday night training to every day. You got full-time professionals. Yeah. You mentioned being starved of success. I can only come to Tom at this point with Rochdale. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. This. So yeah, you were beat at home against Crewe. I think Crewe were one of the favourites to be down there with yourselves. I'm not having a dig now. I'm just saying that's generally what saying and stuff, innit?
Yeah.
Gillingham away on Saturday, again a tough one. Then Burton at home in the cup. How from your perspective, how do you think Dale are going to do this season?
It's a tough one to gauge. Pushing back to last summer, we obviously had a massive off the field issues with the club ownership. I don't know if it was widely touted or if people have seen it, and it was touch or go whether we were going to still be a club at one point, just through bad management over the years. We had a very rushed pre-season last year, and a manager came in, Robbie Stockdale. And he had to kind of just put a squad together very, very quickly. He had, which we didn't find out until the end of the end of the season. We actually had a transfer embargo for 2 weeks as well, which was never widely common knowledge. And we kind of just put a squad together, and we kind of had a decent little start to the season. Was kind of hopeful that we might bounce back, but then that quickly evaporated. We've had a much better recruitment this time around, more structured, experienced players through the spine of the team. Tiamani Diaguara has come in, a fans' favourite at Morecambe, played at higher levels of football. Obviously brought back the king, Ian Henderson. Can't say. I'm sure the Salford boys won't be too happy about that one, but there you go. So yeah, good to have him back, and I think we've recruited as we can. We've had a little bit of more of an improved budget, but big debates on the manager really. We were poor for large parts of the season last year. It's a tough one. We're very negative. 5 at the back team. Almost seemed scared to take the game to the opposition. Really, I don't know. I was saying in my own predictions that really, I expect, and maybe this is bold of me, and it probably is very bold, that we minimally should be looking at the playoffs. But as I can see from all the bookies' predictions and what I saw for 45 minutes on Saturday, probably not going to be the case. I'd probably say we're going to be down there again, and I can probably predict that our manager will get sacked at some point.
You said then, just to pick up on something, 5 at the back's negative. I mean, we play 5 at the back, and we did all last season, and it was far from negative. What's so negative about it?
For me, I don't know if it's a lack of confidence in the players, because it's not board results for us in the past. But we just see, I mean, if I could use an example, obviously, the Crewe game, we were 2-0 down, and instead of having a go and trying to get the ball and get up the field for 20 minutes, Crewe just held the ball, and we seemed more bothered about setting our shape up and making sure that we were defensively sound, and it still wasn't working. We just don't get enough of a vocal point going forward, and there's a big gap between there's a big gap between the defence, the midfield, and the attack, and it's hard to link play up sometimes. Like I say, for a 25-minute period in that first half, Crewe just literally penned us in, and we had literally no meaningful possession whatsoever. Yes, we were better in the second half, but I don't know how much you could put that down to Crewe just managing the game out. We probably should have got something from it, but that first 45 minutes, it just felt like a continuation of last season, and I think that's probably how it felt for a lot of fans, to be fair. Oh, here we go again.
Yeah, so that bubble of the new season burst by half time, did it?
Yeah. I was stood there. Well, I don't even think half time. I looked at the scoreboard, our brand new digital scoreboard. We're modern now. I looked at it after 20, 25 minutes and thought, oh, here we go again. Just more of the same.
Yeah, I was pretty much the same on Saturday. Well, not more of the same, but by 33 minutes we were 3-0 down at home to Barrow. So.
Oh, I know. It was getting thrown around the terrace.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, it was embarrassing.
I mean, it's been like a slow couple of seasons, hasn't it? It's like you talk about that middle being missing. Ollie Rathbone moving on. Aaron Morley, obviously Lundy, and everything. You've sort of lost what that core was, and it's just not quite been replaced yet, has it?
No, it's a tough one. And Rochdale, we're a club that probably pride ourselves on the next fresh player off the conveyor belt. We do blood through a lot of youth, but it's kind of slowed down the past few years because I think there's been more of a reliance of getting results than having a chance just to throw a kid in and get him some experience and get him playing. Obviously, in years gone by when we were doing well and doing really well in League One, punching way above our weight, we had those opportunities to blood the youngsters and let them have appearances and showcase what they're about. Obviously, over the years since then, they've obviously been sold and moved on, and probably through lack of the right signings, we've just not really had that platform to give youth a chance. As it was, Ethan Briley is probably the next man off the press, but yeah, again, he's still very, very inexperienced at this level.
So, generally, do you think you're in for a long, hard season? Then is that the feeling amongst the fans?
It's a very much a split between the fan base, because I think it's where you perception of where you should be. But like I say, with what I am, I've only really seen the good times with Rochdale, and maybe I'm being overzealous really with what I want and what I expect. I've seen us as a good standard League One side pushing for playoffs, and you being up there for the most of the season and having a good go, and to come back down to League Two and be struggling. I mean, I'm not saying we have some divine right. We don't, obviously, but yeah, it's just it's a very much a split between the fan base. Some people's perception is that we are going to struggle. Some people's perception is it should be playoffs. Some people's are saying it should be mid-table. But that's each to their own. Everyone's got their own opinion.
Yeah, I mean that trapdoor. I mean you've been in the bottom 2 divisions, forever. I think is it. I think it's probably since you started. I guess you've never been out of the league, have you?
Well, no, we were very, very close. We got to a vote between us and Barrow, and I can't fully remember the story. It's way before my time.
Yeah.
But we were voted to stay in, and Barrow got ejected out of the league.
Yeah. I mean, just to pick up on a point there. I mean, your sort of bookend is top of League One, bottom of League Two. Having been through it myself, and Will's been down there as well, and obviously Andrew has been in the National League and the National League North. Our bookend has been the top of the Championship to the bottom of the National League North. I've seen County in, I can't even, how many divisions is it? I always lose count because it's that many of how many divisions it is. So I think you do really well as a club just to sort of, I won't say float about, but every now and again, like when you played us in the League Two playoff final. Ours was built on quicksand. Let's not go into that because
let's not.
That was the start of our downfall, really. You were with us all the way to the top of League Two there. Will, let's talk about Salford. I mean, are you acutely aware of people's perceptions about Salford from the outside?
I see every single mention, tag, tweet that comes in. My phone doesn't stop going quite often, so I am. I really do holistically see both sides of it. I can understand when we're coming through non-league, to be coming up against Stockport in the National North. We're asking ourselves, like, hang on, Stockport County in the National League North. I mean, even going back to when Tranmere in the National League, and you look at the size of the clubs and you think this just isn't like right. And I know it's a thing to leverage at, clubs spending money, but what I would say in our defence is that we aren't the only ones. I know it's easy to pick at us because of the profile, but football's becoming this beast where there are so many clubs doing it. But clubs are having to do it out of almost necessity. I mean, ours is different because it's a choice from the owners. They want to invest in, somewhere that actually means something to them. I think that's the one thing that's fair to say. It would have been easy for them. And, Peterlin tried to buy Liverpool however many years ago. He's not short of Bob to buy a higher club. But what they wanted to build was something that was theirs. And, I think the wider angle that not everybody sees is actually the work that the club and, our charity arm are doing in the community as well. In the way that it's really trying to bring Salford up, because we're like the forgotten little brother to Manchester, or not even the little brother. We're that other sibling who everyone just associates you with. But Salford's a completely different place at the same time as well. And I think really what we're focusing on and trying to do is, give Salford a voice that isn't Man United, that isn't Man City, and try and encourage what's a great city to have its own football club, really. So it's wider than that. I can understand where people come from, but
just to interject, obviously talking about Salford, I actually work like 5 minutes from the ground. And I work in a care home, and they were coming round. I believe it was sometime a few months ago. We were bringing out food parcels to everybody, and I thought that was brilliant. To be fair, bringing it to the care home, and like you say, interacting with the community, that is a really nice aspect.
Yeah, and we don't get us wrong. The aspiration is we want to be as high in the Football League pyramid as we can do, but at the same time, Salford has lacked its own team. Seeing someone just put there that it's a rugby town, and it very much is a rugby place. But the rugby moved out. Man United and Man City now charging horrendous prices. A standard match ticket isn't that much more than a season ticket at ours, and we sort of want football to become that centre of the community hub again. And I'll sort of touch back on what you were saying before, Ross, about what is like the bookends of what a club is. What we find when we go to Rochdale, when we've been to Oldham, is that those clubs are actually the centre of the community. They're, what do you do in Rochdale on a Saturday? lads, dads, daughters, you go to watch football at 3:00 on a Saturday, and I think what we do provide is a really affordable way for people to do that isn't going to watch franchise football in Man United or Man City.
Yeah. The lads spoke about it on last week's podcast, on last week's show, and they said, is local spirit lost at the bigger clubs? I think we can all agree it is. Probably City less than United. United. I've never been to United for years now, but not that I'm a United fan. Just I've got free tickets once. But just to get that in there. Yeah, it probably feels like it's a bit of a tourist attraction now. I think I agree with what Matt said last week. Away following United, spot on. All the proper lads go. All the proper fans go to the away games. City probably a bit more. I feel like at City they're more from Manchester. More often than not. I guess. I mean, it's getting that way, isn't it? But our clubs, and it's interesting. Our clubs are probably hearts of the community, and we're all, it's Stopfordians that come to county matches. It's people from Altrincham who go to Moss Lane, and it's probably people from Rochdale who go to Spotland. Salford, do you find a lot of United fans and City fans coming to Salford? Probably not City fans, I'm guessing, but is it a lot of United fans?
There is a proportion. I will be lying in saying we don't see a drop in attendances when United are at home.
Right.
And when we happen to be at home on a Saturday and they're on a Sunday, we do have increased crowds, and that's because of the difference. But yeah, it is the local groups and people you want to bring in. Last week, for example, we gave out, I think, 100 tickets to a charity that are working at the training base where we are at the minute, and absolutely all of them came. And it's things like that. They'd never get the chance to go to Old Trafford, yet giving them the opportunity to come and see a club that's actually local for them, and somewhere where they can get to. It's like you say, that trying to get the local community. That's what it's got to be more about than trying to bring in fans from miles away who don't really have any sort of connection with the area, with the club, with the people. It's the same sort of thing for the players. You need to bring in players who understand what the club and its community are about, not players who, with respect, aren't interested in moving to Salford, don't want to be in Salford. They've got to be coming for the right reasons.
Yeah, I mean, for all of us, really, just going on that player and sort of touching on player recruitment, we're quite lucky, really, aren't we? And I've said this on my own podcast numerous times, because we are so close to Manchester. Players like to come and live in Manchester, don't they? Which is, I mean, I love Manchester myself. Love going on a night out in Manchester. I don't know about you lads, but I think we're quite lucky, even though we've got the richest and the most famous, biggest clubs on our doorstep. It actually is a positive when you're playing at the levels that we're playing at. Because you can attract those players that, who wants to go and play. I know Barrow train in Manchester, but who wants to go and play for Barrow or, I don't know, Darlington or something, we're
a direct testament to that. We've signed the lad James Jones, who was previously at Altrincham, went to Barrow for 2 seasons, and now he's back here. And I believe one of the reasons is the travel on a match day. So
right,
stands true to it, I guess.
Yeah, it does. And when we're talking our levels as well, even, I mean, when we were semi-pro, lads getting paid an extra 50 quid a week was the difference. I think we had one lad, if I remember rightly, and someone will correct me in the comments, I'm sure, who was from Liverpool, because we used to sign loads of Scousers. He signed for Halifax, which is a longer commute, because of an extra 50 quid a week or something like that. Which you've got to look after yourself, haven't you? But now, obviously, we're in a place where we're a lot better than that. Okay, it's a pity. Ryan's not turned up from Bolton, because I really want to play my little video. So if we look at the matches then, so Will, I'd say a pretty impressive win against Mansfield at home on Saturday. You're like us, favourites to be up there, favourites to go up. I think you were probably favourites last season as well.
And the season before.
That was going to be one of football league. I wanted to ask that question at some point. Is there any particular reason why you've? Sorry, I've sort of taken the tangent away there, but
no.
Is there any particular reason why Salford have stalled where they are a little bit? Because I think that's what I've seen from the outside looking in. It feels like you can't get over this hurdle. It would just be interesting to hear your thoughts as to why that might be the case.
I mean, I think you know, as the club have acknowledged, we've got a few things wrong. You know, obviously COVID was, as with everyone, a massive effect. You know, we were literally just starting to find our feet, having made quite a few signings in January. You know, it was coming together, and then bam, start of March, COVID, and everything went in, shut down. Got back going in the lockdown season, and then they got rid of Graham. And you know, as Gary Neville's come out and said, that was the biggest mistake, and it's sort of taken us quite a while to get over that. You know, obviously we've had the cycle with Richie Wellens coming in, the wrong appointment, as it was. You know, Gary Bowyer came in for a season, and I think it's just sort of taking stock of the time that we've needed to recover. We've been talking on like the marketing team, and we were thinking about this. Last year really was our first proper full season in the Football League still, you know, because of everything that's happened. And, you know, that I think that's the first time we can look at it and say, right, well, we did just miss out. And, you know, last season it wasn't through doing this, doing that, trying to make things happen. And I think that's where they've sort of settled on making a new sub-project in appointing Neil Wood. And, you know, it is now looking long-term and not just, you know, result to result to result. I don't think that's the way they ever did look at it. But looking back, the way that decisions were made were incorrect, and that's kept us down. You know, it's a lesson that they've learned, and, you know, hopefully it's not a mistake that we'll repeat. But League Two is so difficult as well. You know, I think that's the other thing about it. On the day, any team can beat any team in League Two. It doesn't matter what form you're in. You know, as Bolton could have attested to, you can start off horrendously and finish really well. You know, Bristol Rovers and Mansfield last year. You know, we've just always not managed to have that consistency. You know, last year was the first time this season we've come from behind to win a game in the Football League. You know, that took 3.5 years. So there's a lot of things we've had to learn, and I think this is probably the most optimistic we felt coming into a season.
So your manager's a former United under-23 manager, is he?
Yeah, he was there for 5 years or so as 23s manager.
What's the football like? Because we had Simon Rusk from Brighton's under-23 start of last season, and he's clearly a development play. You know, focus on player development. It was all keep possession, don't concede first, and think about winning second. And he's actually after he got sacked from us, he's joined the England setup. So we're all in for a good World Cup. Let's say that. So is it what's the football like under the U23 manager?
I think it's actually pretty opposite. You know, it's exciting. It's if we concede, you know, don't mess around keeping possession, get the ball going forward, you know, hold it, attack, play it forward, what opportunity you've got. It's quick, it's fast. You know, obviously I don't want to give too much away, but there's a lot more emphasis on attacking play and getting numbers upfield and creating chances than there is on, you know, trying to keep hold of the ball. You know, we have been quite conservative at times, I think, over the last 3 years in the EFL. And, you know, I think from what we've seen in pre-season, it's very different. It is a very, right, okay, you might score one, but we're going to score three. You know, quite a fearless, ruthless approach. It'll be interesting to see how it fares in the winter. You know, I think we all know, you know, you aren't going to be able to do that at Barrow away in January, or, you know, some of the states of the pitches, you know, Grimsby, you're not going to be able to do that. But certainly now, while we can make it count, that's going to be the way they're doing it.
That sounds like everything that I dream of.
I mean, at the end of the day, that's what football is. It is entertainment. You know, I think even the most hardcore fan, you can accept that from time to time you're going to lose. You know, that's part of the game, winning, losing. But, you know, if you're seeing everyone give what they can and exciting flowing football, then if you're enjoying it, that's sort of why we do it as well.
Yeah, it sounds like our style under Phil Parkinson to an extent, to be fair. We play that 4-2-3-1, play it out from the back, around your back. We were doing that in the Evo stick on bubbly pitches, so you'll be fine at Barrow away, honestly. Yeah, and I think that is probably one of the elements as to why we had an increase in crowds, to be honest, going back to one of the points you made about getting the local community through the door as well. I think that, nice to watch style of play, you can use that as one of the marketing elements. It's a nice to have, I think.
And Russ, you'll know from Stockport as well, just like the hype around it as well. When you're doing well, I mean, what was it, 10,000 on Saturday? It's it's incredible.
Nice.
Yeah, it just took off for us. I mean, under Rusk, it was sideways football, like I said, and not lose first, think about winning second. Soon as Challoner came in, we played Bolton away in the FA Cup. Straight away on the front foot, counter press, trying to get back possession really, really quickly, and we drew 2-2, and we never looked like we just never looked like losing after that. I mean, I know we had a bit of a sticky patch at the end, which made it exciting, but it was so free flowing, 5 at the back, high wing backs, fast. I mean, it helped that we'd signed League One players. It really did help. The money helps, doesn't it? I mean, you've got to say that the money helps.
Yeah.
It does. And just going into investment. Do you lads know how our investments come around and who it is and what the background is there?
He's a Stockport fan, isn't he?
Well, he's a Stockport fan. He's Stockport born and bred. He's worth millions and millions. I mean, I've heard between 5 and 800 million. He's already written off 7.7 million pounds worth of debt into equity. Yeah. He's invested in the ground. He wants to get us to the Championship, and he wants us to have a 22,000 seater stadium. That obviously we've got to get into the Championship and run that parallel to get there. So we feel very lucky, and sort of it's coming from a place of all right, it's not Qataris. Do you know what I mean? It's not the Americans that are investing. It's coming from local, a local source. So we're very proud and excited and properly enjoying the journey. So going back to the opening day against Barrow, 3-0 down after 33 minutes, I went down to get a pie and a pint. Even though we'd lost after the match, I said to my mate who I do the podcast with, I said, "This is great. This." I said, "Oh, it was a really, really good game. It was really open. Okay, we lost, but we're just back in the EFL. I just, back in the Football League, and shed a tear. I've shed a lot of tears since we won promotion back. It's just nice to be here." So yeah, I forgot where I was going with that. Anyway, a question from a regular listener of our show. Let's have a look at this. This counts to all of us. How do you feel about City United fans coming into your ground and wearing their City United tops?
Sickened.
Not brilliant.
Honestly, I'm not a fan. I can understand someone coming in an international shirt, but not a fan. I actually remember I went to see Pigeon Detectives at Manchester Academy quite a few years ago, and someone came in an Arctic Monkeys t-shirt, and he absolutely tore it to shreds. It was like, why would you come to one of our gigs wearing a rival t-shirt? And I think it's the same. I'm not saying we're rivals to United and City, because we aren't, but come on, don't wear something else, something neutral. You don't need to wear another team's top unless you're the opposing team or you're wearing a junior club's team. We get a lot of kids down from Bar Hill JFC. That's fine, but don't wear United and City tops.
I think we had one guy in the Sandy Lane wearing a Leeds United jacket. That was a big no-no.
What about you, Andrew?
I can see it's a different context for us, right? So obviously I'm not a fan of it, but what I'd say is at Alty there is that different context where our crowds are inflated to an extent by United and City fans. We get a lot of families coming in, so the kids might be running around in the sort of sports hall where the bar is, in United and City tops, and I'm almost like numb to it now, because that's just the way it is at Alty. The wider point is our crowds last season went over 2,000 average for the first time in decades and decades, but we've not actually made any ground on selling more season tickets. So we get a lot of floating fans in who want to just come and maybe have a drink and watch the game, but they're not as invested as maybe the core 300-400 are, like myself and others. So there is that element of coming in a different shirt from time to time, and just one of them that you look at, you tut, and then you just sort of crack on. Really, it's the way it is.
we can excuse kids, can't we? But when you see a grown adult coming in wearing another shirt,
yeah, I can excuse kids to a certain age. I think if they're really young, then it's fair game, and I always see them as they can be converted if they come in and watching and that. In the playoff semi-final against Hartlepool a couple of seasons ago, there was a lad in. We were just back from COVID, so tickets were scarce. There was a lad in the railway end of our ground, sat there in a City shirt. It's like, what are you doing? Why have you? Even if he probably woke up that morning and thought, I'm going to Stockport versus Hartlepool game today. Tell you what, I'll put my City shirt on. What sort of mentality is that? Do you know? I'm with you, Will. It sickens me. But I understand the context of Alty. I absolutely do. I guess it's the same at Rochdale. You get the same as probably what we do.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. We do all the time.
Yeah, it's a load of bobbins, isn't it? Final thing then. Will, you thought of this, I think, didn't you? Worst away end you've ever been in.
Yeah.
Will, have you been in many? Because you're always in the commentary box, are you not?
You know what? We've been in a few. I don't like keep myself away from everyone. I like to walk around and speak to people. Believe it or not, we do actually have a core group of regulars who go home and away. They are actually quite nice people too. So
you sound surprised.
No, I do wander around, and there have been some really bad ones. I actually commentated from the away end at Darlington once because I was essentially too chicken to sit in the press box because all their directors, all their fans around us, and that was something of a rivalry because I think they didn't like the fact that there was another club who was competing with them, and because obviously the way we were doing it was by spending money back then. And it was actually quite fierce at times. So this one game, it's a Tuesday night, it was absolutely tanking it down. I actually stood on the away end and did the commentary on my phone from there. Couldn't see what was going on at the far ends of the field. But I liked Bootham Crescent as a ground, but that wasn't particularly pleasant as an away fan. Just again, open terrace. To get up to the gantry, you had to crawl through a sewer, basically. Any camera people out there will be able to sympathise with that. So that wasn't too much of a nice one.
Us Alty fans always have a laugh. We, whenever go into Bootham Crescent, we always say it's pretty much like going to watch Alty as an away fan. Going to Moss Lane as an away fan. Sorry, it's very, very similar in terms of that open away end and outdated facilities to an extent. So we sort of get our just desserts a little bit when we went over there.
Yeah, it was always sunny, I think, when we used to come down to you. So I think our fans were okay with it.
Yeah, got away with it then.
Yeah. Not looking forward to Gillingham. We've got Gillingham away.
Oh, yeah.
That away end is horrific.
Yeah, I've never been to Gillingham away. I'm not sure I'm going to go this season either, to be quite honest with you. But to tell us a bit about that away end, because it's a really old stand, isn't it? It's the old type. Is it the old style, or is it metal? I don't even know what it is. What is it? Tell me.
It's like one of those, like you're in a PE hall and they pull it out for assembly. It's like one of them.
Yeah.
It's like. To be fair, I mean, personally, I've actually not been myself, but you see the pictures all the times, and you look at it, and it just looks horrific. Like if you get any form of bad weather, you are just caught in the elements. And I probably sound quite snobby here for people who've been to the lower leagues and been to some where it's probably more common. To be fair, but no, for me, that's for a team like Gillingham as well. I thought they'd have done something about that by now, but there you go.
Yeah. What about you, Andrew? What's your worst away?
Undoubtedly FC United. There isn't an away end. You just stand on the floor. Like watching park football. So yeah, there's a clear and obvious answer for me there. There's a few that might be sort of second fiddle to that. When we went to Wrexham last season, they had us in the first of the two tiers.
Yeah,
we didn't get the back one, so you had all the Wrexham fans behind you and to the right of you. And there's literally like one toilet cubicle in that tier. They'd oversold us slightly as well, so everyone's crammed in. That was really poor, but yeah, FC United by a mile.
Yeah, that Wrexham one was you on the side of the pitch then?
Yeah.
I know what you mean. Yeah. I mean, mine's got. I've got two really for two different reasons. The first one, Saltergate. if you remember Saltergate, Chesterfield's ground. You're probably too young, aren't you? You lot.
I never managed to go.
Yeah, Saltergate before they moved to the Technique, it was just horrible. Away end, your traditional uncovered away end, a bit like what our railway end was. I remember being stood on there on a Tuesday night, getting battered 4-0. And we had some of their ex-players, and we were just getting taunted, and it was just raining and cold, and it was in the middle of it was like when we play Altrincham. We always seem to play Altrincham like December, like really cold in it and dark and all that kind of stuff.
Because it's either the Christmas fixtures, or we usually get you in the FA Trophy. So not anymore, obviously, but
that's one good thing about the National League and non-league is they do cater for those fixtures at Christmas time, don't they? You always get a local one at Christmas time. And then the other one is Wrexham as well. So last season, for completely different reasons, really, stood in that away end. I don't know if you saw the result, but we got beat 3-0, which made them go top of the league on goal difference. And looking to me right, I mean, we couldn't do anything anyway because they were just taunting us. But looking to my right, to their fans, you had all these lads with, with ones with goggles in the hoods. And they were giving it all the brap signs with the pointing the guns and giving it all that. And I was just like, oh my God, we're getting beat by this. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, it was just horrific.
So let's throw Bristol Rovers in there as well. We had an awful experience there last year. So they thought they were being really funny. And I kid you not, they sent us literally 50 tickets thinking they were, they're not going to sell that. And it was bank holiday weekend. Right. We sold out of those on the first day that they went on sale. But because they'd already made the decision, won't give us any more. Fans have turned up at this away and they weren't allowed in until about 20 minutes before kickoff. There was no food or drink in there, basically. And they really just treated us like, bottom feeders. And it was like...
Did they put you on that side bit? That side stand? Where you have to, where there's no cover?
Right to the far corner. Yeah, pretty much. No, we had the cover, but we had literally a tiny bit of it. They sold the rest to their own fans, which I get, we're not going to take 1,000 away, but at the same time, 50 is taking the mick a little bit.
Yeah. It's a bit higgledy-piggledy. So some might say it's full of character, but it just looks higgledy-piggledy to me, Bristol Rovers ground. What are your thoughts? Because I'm sure all three of you have been in it. What are your thoughts of Counties away end? Because it's uncovered and you don't get much protection. Unless we sell you the side, on the pop side, but
I'm not keen, but more for the reason of it's really hard to generate an atmosphere in an open away end like that. So, and any chance you try and get going are completely going out into the open air and away. So, from that perspective, it's not the best away end. But in terms of a view, I think it's probably similar for anyone who goes to Alty. In that away end, you're getting a cracking view. It's quite open and like an end-to-end style view. So there's definitely worse. Oh, and the pies that you guys get in are fantastic as well. Is it it's a local company, isn't it?
Yeah. That's new since Stock. It was rubbish before Stock took over. Nobody bought them. But yeah, the pies are getting retweets regularly on Footy-Scran now for some reason.
You got to get the pies right first. Yeah, get the pies right.
Yeah. What about your away end, Tom? Because it's at the side, isn't it? The away end, I think. I'm sure that's where I've been before.
Yeah. It's a nice stand. I like our away stand. I find it quite weird that we actually give it out to away fans. It's probably the nicest stand, to be fair. It creates a good atmosphere. You get a good view from it. But because at one point a few years ago, they allowed it for like lower attendance games. If home fans wanted to go and sit in it, they'd section it, and you could go and watch the game there as well. It never really kicked off, but But just touching on obviously on your Stockport point, I quite like Stockport's away end. It's proper traditional, old school, and I've just got good memories of 7-2. So.
Love it. Do you know what? That's the only match that I've ever left early, and I've been in the Bobby Peel with because Fengy played for you, didn't he? What's his face? The lad from Brighton. Oh, what's he called?
Glenn Murray.
Oh, Glenn Murray. He played for you, and he played for us before that. So when he was scoring, he was just giving it us big time. Honestly, is that your favourite ever away match? It's got to be on it, really. Surely.
Probably, it's probably up there. You putting me on the spot. There could be another, but it's mad really when I think about it. Because when I look back at the playoffs final team, I think we ended up swapping all of our players. I think we had most of your first 11 at some point or another. We ended up signing, obviously, Jim McNulty's still at the club.
Yeah.
What's his name? Michael Rose. There'll be loads more that we took off you. Liam Dickinson's a funny one. He hates us. Even though he played on loan for us, he fucking hates us. He scored a goal in pre-season against us for FC United, and he lobbed our keeper from like 40 yards. And you'd think he'd have just won the World Cup final the way he was going. And then I bumped into him in town whilst he was fitting windows.
He's a bit of a character, is Dicko. Yeah, he's been on our podcast a couple of times. Yeah, a bit of a character. I think he's done the rounds on the podcasts under the caution.
Yeah.
I had trials once and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
What's the away end like at Salford? Because I'm yet to sample that delight, and I'm going to try and get tickets this season for
that. Be prepared to queue a long time for the toilets. That's a lot of the feedback I get. Not too great. The pies and Babs will look after you like absolutely no end. Best tea lady in the Football League. When you get to her, for big crowds, it'll take quite a long time to get served. We're not set up or quite right for massive crowds, and that is a big complaint. But I think similarly, you touched on the point about the open terraces not getting the atmosphere. I think the one good thing about ours is that you really can generate an atmosphere because it is like Meccano. So, when we've had crowds bring it before, Wrexham, Leeds, even, to be fair, Swindon Town, Bristol Rovers, Plymouth Argyle, they brought a lot of fans. And whether it works in our advantage or not, when away fans bring a lot and create a good atmosphere, it is actually a really good away end, and that spurs on people in the home ends a bit more. So it's actually better the fuller it is.
I completely agree with that. From an Otley perspective, when we get a big away crowd in, it generally coincides with home fans wanting to give it a bit more enthusiasm on the atmosphere side.
Yeah.
No, I love Salford's away end because we virtually filled it last season. Yeah. It was a really good atmosphere in there. Just on a side question as well, is this actually? I don't know if you can actually talk about it or not, but the ground swap, is that actually going ahead? With
we've only got a couple of minutes left. With intention, yes. Essentially, that there's a lot of work that needs doing. As I say, I can't really say much. It's not dead in the water, but there is a lot of work that needs to be done with everyone.
Yeah.
That's the AJ Bell, isn't it? Just for those that,
the AJ Bell. So the biggest block, well, not blocker, but thing is being more lanes not exactly suitable for Super League. Red Devils playing in Super League can't really afford to stay at the AJ Bell. Yeah. The ideal scenario is that you've got Salford City Community Stadium where Salford City and Salford Red Devils play, but Sale Sharks are in there for the long haul. So
it's a great ground.
A lot of complications.
I just think the public transport's an issue for it. It's really hard to get there unless you want to walk a little bit.
Yeah, don't let's not mention Sale Sharks because I might start twitching if you mention Sale Sharks. Maybe that's for another time. Right, boys, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us. I say joining us, just coming on the pod, because we're going to get you on at some point as well in the very near future, and we'll just keep on rotating it around and trying to build this channel up and getting the focus on our clubs, because let's face it, BBC Radio Manchester and all that kind of stuff, they just focus on the big two, don't they? So
indeed,
the Bolton Evening News.
It's just them all the way. We have got a Wiganer coming on as well, Barry Worthington. He's gonna come on. I'm still gonna play the little video that I had because I've got to play it. So Bolton are playing Salford, aren't they? On Tuesday in the cup. I was hoping that that Ryan would come on so I could get you both to talk about it. But before I talk about it, play this little video.
There's only one way to find out. Fight!
But I'm going to have to save it for another time now. It's kind of a bit of a damn squid, isn't it? Right, cheers,
See what
boys.
happens next week.
Yeah, well, we might be back on next week. Yeah, yeah. Don't be actually having a fight at the match because I think you're probably both going to go, aren't you? So, well, you definitely will do what you will. So, right, cracky stuff. Cheers, boys, and I'll see you next time.
Cheers, Russ.
Pleasure. Thank you very much.
Cheers, chaps.
The Greatest Manchester Football Podcast is a QPod production, available on all the usual podcast platforms every Friday morning from 7 a.m. Stay up to date with everything from the pod and all our contributors' content by following us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and TikTok at GMFootPod. If you would like to get involved, or if there is a Greater Manchester Football Club you think we need to be talking about and we aren't, please get in touch there too. The title music is royalty-free music from Les FM. Visit lesfm.net for more information. Thanks for listening. See you next week.